devotees. Thank you for joining Sunday Srimad Bhagavatam class. Today's verse is Canto 1, Chapter 15, verse number 36. Before we start, I would like to start with a small bhajan. Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Once again, thank you for joining. I'm going to share my screen and start with Mangalacharan prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiraye. Shrinvatam Swakada Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridayantastu Abhadrani Vidunoti Shuhrutsatam Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyadya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you once again for joining Sunday Srimad Bhagavatam class. Today's verse is Canto 1, Chapter 15, titled Pandavas Retired Timely. And the verse which we are reciting today is verse number 36. I'm going to recite 3 times, and if any devotees are interested, they can also recite after that. Yada mukundo bhagavani mamahim jaho swatanva shravaniya satkata tada hareva pratibuddha chetasam abhadrahetu kaliranva vartata Yada mukundo bhagavani mamahim Jahau swatanva shravaniya satkata tadahareva pratibuddha chetasam abhadrahetu kaliranva vartata yada mukundo bhagavani mamahim jahau swatanva shravaniya satkata Tadahareva pratibuddha chetasam abhadrahetu kaliranva vartata. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, someone would like to recite.
Yada Mukunda Bhagavan Mamahim Jo Swatanva Shravanya Satkataha Tadar Eva Patibuddha Chetasam Abhadrahitur Kalyan Paratata. Thank you,
Thank
bro.
you. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Wonderful. Other devotees would like to recite. Hare Krishna. Okay. If not, we can move forward with synonyms. Yada, when. Mukunda, Lord Krishna. Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead. Imam, this. Mahim, earth. Jaho, left. Swatanva, with his self-same body. Shravaniya Satkata, hearing about him is worthwhile. Tada, at that time. Aha eva, from the very day. Apratibuddha Chetasam, of those whose minds are not sufficiently developed. Abhadra Hetu, cause of all ill fortune. Kali Anva Vartata, Kali fully manifested. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charana Aravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. When the personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, left this earthly planet in his self same form, from that very day, Kali, who had already partially appeared, became fully manifest to create inauspicious conditions for those who are endowed with a poor fund of knowledge. Purport. The influence of Kali can be enforced only upon those who are not fully developed in God consciousness. One can neutralize the effects of Kali by keeping oneself fully under the supreme care of the personality of Godhead. The age of Kali ensued just after the battle of Kurukshetra, but it could not exert its influence because of the presence of the Lord. The Lord, however, left this earthly planet in his own transcendental body. And as soon as he left, the symptoms of the Kali Yuga, as were envisioned by Maharaj Yudhishthira prior to Arjuna's arrival from Dwaraka, began to manifest. And Maharaj Yudhishthira rightly conjectured on the departure of the Lord from the earth. As we have already explained, the Lord left our sight just as when the sun sets, it is out of our sight. Translation one more time. When the personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, left this earthly planet in his self same form, from that very day, Kali, who had already partially appeared, became fully manifest to create inauspicious conditions for those who are endowed with a poor fund of knowledge. Hare Krishna. So today we're going to discuss about an important verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, the time when Lord Krishna left this world in his own spiritual form. Here Srila Prabhupada highlights Swatanva. So we're going to have a detailed discussion on how Krishna left this planet and various other things, especially the manifestation of Kali. And when we see this point, Krishna left this world in his own spiritual form. This was not just his physical departure of the Supreme Lord, but it also marked the time when Kali Yuga, the age of quarrels, dishonesty, and suffering, fully began. If we see from last couple of verses, especially from this chapter titled Pandavas Retire Timely, is heavy with emotion. Arjuna has returned from Dwaraka, but this is not the Arjuna we usually know. This is Arjuna is not the same hero of the Kurukshetra because his body is present there, but his strength is gone. And we have seen a couple of verses where he was explaining about that. And his words have become a few. His Gandiva bow is no longer inspires fear, and ultimately his confidence got vanished. And Maharaj Yudhishthira carefully observes all this and begins to understand that something extraordinary is happening. Even in the 14th chapter, we did discuss about it. But before we take a deep dive into this verse, before discussing about today's verse, if we can first look at the background and spiritual context in which this verse appears, we need to take one step back to the previous chapter, chapter 14, the disappearance of Lord Krishna. So the chapter 14 starts with Arjuna went to Dwaraka, went to meet Krishna to inquire about his future plans. And And we discussed this chapter in great detail. Various devotees went through various verses I mean, all the verses in this chapter. Months has passed, almost like 7 months has passed, and Arjuna didn't return from Dwaraka. And Maharaj Yudhishthir, a king who is renowned for his spiritual intelligence, began to observe some bad omens in the world. Before Arjuna returning from Dwaraka itself, he can sense something is happening, and both external and within himself. So that's where, starting from verse 3, various bad omens are explained, starting with the disturbance in eternal time and seasonal order. We can see this direction of eternal time has changed, and this was very fearful. So there were seasonal irregularities were disrupted, indicating that cosmic order was no longer functioning smoothly. And in verse 4, 3 to 5, the moral degradation of human society was described. People had become greedy, angry, deceitful, and they were adopting foul means of livelihood. And it doesn't end there. There are various other bad omens also Maharaj Yudhishthira observed. There were breakdown of family relationship. There were constant uh, between misunderstanding between fathers, mothers, and sons, between well-wishers, even between brothers, even between husband and wife. There was always strain and quarrel. And then Yudhishthira talks about various other things to Bhima. And then in verse number 10, um, he sees that increasing fearful calamities from all directions. He observes the celestial influences, earthly reactions, and the bodily pains as well. And as we can see in this verse, the left side of my body, my thighs, my arms, and eyes are all quivering again, and I'm having heart palpitations due to fear. All this indicates undesirable happenings. And not only that, apart from his bodily reactions, he observes some unnatural behavior of animals as well. Verse 12 to 13, he describes about the she jackal cries at the rising sun and vomits fire, and how the dogs bark at me fearlessly. Animals like cows are passing me on my left side, and lower animals like the asses are circumambulating me. My horses appear to weep upon seeing me, and the pigeon is looking like a messenger of death. The shrieks of the owls and their rival crows make my heart tremble. It appears that they want me to make a void of the whole universe. So, seeing all this, there were disturbances in the water, fire, mind, uh, atmospheric disturbances, uh, as we just read, earth and mountains trembling, lightning from the skies, bloody rainfall, declining sunlight, and stars appearing to fight. And he did also mention about cows. Cows do not thus suck the teats of the cows, or nor do the cows give milk. They are standing, crying tears in their eyes, and the bulls take no pleasure at the pasturing grounds. So these are all the bad omens. Yudhishthira concludes all the signs indicate that a greater loss to the great fortune to the world. So finally, Arjuna returns from Dwaraka with the devastating news that Krishna has left this planet. What happens to the planet when the personality of Godhead leaves? This is where we're going to discuss in today's verse, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 15, verse number 36. So, what happens when the Supreme Personality Godhead leaves? So, the last line, Kali Ranva Vartata. Kali becomes fully manifest. And from when? Tada Hareva. Not on a calendar date, on a specific day, on that very day. Because why did Kali manifest only after Lord Krishna's departure? Because the power of Kali is simply the absence of the divine consciousness, where Krishna's physical presence is not there. Krishna is Wherever Krishna is present, Kali cannot stand. Here Srila Prabhupada explains that Krishna did not merely leave a material body behind us, a material or a normal person does. He left Swatanva. Srila Prabhupada explains here as Swatanva as self-same body, the same transcendental body, transcendental form. This is something which is profound. And Krishna's spiritual presence, his pastimes, his instructions, his devotees will still remain in this world. And all this remained as a living spiritual connection as a humanity. But yet, the fully manifestation of Kali begins at that at the same moment. But while Kali Yuga had started, Krishna's presence had kept its influence suppressed. In fact, when after the Kurukshetra ended, Kali was there, but only thing is the influence was suppressed. And Srila Prabhupada gives a wonderful analogy, like a criminal hiding in the shadows or handcuffed. Now, with the Lord withdrawing, Kali becomes openly manifest, affecting all who are apratibuddha chetasa. Here we are discussing about apratibuddha chetasa. Of these, Kali affects whom? Kali doesn't affect everyone. Kali has some jurisdiction, like a dedicated area. He will not influence everyone. Wherever or whoever's minds are not sufficiently developed. This also we're going to detailedly explore on this. So this verse mainly shows us how life becomes dark when Krishna's visible presence is withdrawn. And Srila Prabhupada gives various analogy, especially with the sunset analogy and various other things. And that's when Kali fully takes over, and how devotees can still remain completely safe under Krishna's shelter. We're going to discuss that. And if we break down this entire verse, it can be mainly classified into three main sections. First thing about the departure of Krishna, understanding the transcendental nature of his exit, the spiritual principles of Swatanva with his self same body, and why his physical absence does not mean spiritual absence. And the second point in this verse is about Kali Ranbhavartata, the manifestation of Kali, the fully manifestation of Kali, how the age of quarrel and the hypocrisy arises and whom it is going to affect. And the third, there is no Krishna's presence, physical presence after Krishna left this planet. And then that's when Kali fully manifest. But who is going to protect the devotees? The protection is offered through hearing and chanting, remembering Lord's name. The power of Shravanam Kirtanam and associating with devotees will act as a shield against Kali. So we're going to explore on these three main things. So to start with, did Krishna really leave? The verse says that Krishna left in his self-same body. Unlike ordinary souls, Krishna's body is spiritual, eternal, full of bliss and knowledge. He is Satchitananda. When it says he left, it does not mean that, like a material body, he vanished or he died. And in the previous words, Srila Prabhupada gives a magician example. Think of a magician who is finishing his show. He doesn't cease to exist. He just stopped performing for the audience. Similarly, Krishna completed his earthly pastimes. And Srila Prabhupada gives an example of the sunset analogy, or the sun behind clouds. When clouds cover the sun, it may seem gone, but it is fully present. In Kali Yuga, clouds of illusion may hide Krishna from our vision, but he's fully present. But why did Lord withdraw his presence? And here, Krishna's departure was intentional. And I mean, we have seen verses from Bhagavad Gita. He came for a purpose to relieve the burden of the earth, and in the Bhagavatam as well, and to protect dharma and support his devotees. And now, why is he withdrawing himself? To establish the next chapter, Kali Yuga. It started with Satyuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, and then Kali Yuga. But even in this withdrawal, his mercy will still continue through the holy name, through the Srimad Bhagavatam, and the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Here, Srila Prabhupada and various acharyas uh, have given enormous explanation on to contemplate on this. Even though our physical eye cannot see Krishna, but the spiritual opportunity remains. His and his departure is not a loss, because we still have Lord in various forms. We have his name, we have his form, qualities, pastimes, we have the scriptures. That is the main point. So, and here we can see the words it uses. I mean, Mukunda. Mukunda is means, if we can see the word Mukunda, one who gives liberation. Not only when he's physically present, even after he left from this earthly planet, he'll still be able to give the liberation if we are under his presence, and, and through his name, qualities, and pastimes, remembrance, Shravanam and Kirtanam. And the second theme in this verse, or the next two lines, which talks about is after Krishna left this planet, Kali has become fully manifest. And we need to discuss about two main points: the partial manifestation of Kali and the full manifestation or the full appearance of Kali. Even before Krishna left, Kali had already partially appeared, but the Lord's presence restrained him. And Srila Prabhupada, when he was speaking on the same words, he gives a very good example, criminal and the policeman analogy. Kali is like a criminal. He is handcuffed by the presence of Krishna. But once Lord withdraws, Kali becomes bold and active, attacking everyone indiscriminately. And throughout Bhagavatam, there are at various places the symptoms of Kali are described. And Shastra describes the signs of Kali Yuga. The main signs of Kali Yuga are quarrel, hypocrisy, shorter lifespan, and weak memory. We are seeing in this modern world, materialism dominates. People value appearance over substance, and religion becomes a mere show, and leaders misuse power. As we continue to understand who Kali actually affects, Srimad Bhagavatam gives us an unfiltered diagnosis of human life in this age. For that, we need to go to a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 1, verse number 10. Kalavashmin yuge jana. So the translation says, O learned one, in this iron age of Kali, men almost always have short lives. They are quarrelsome, lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above all, always disturbed. Srila Prabhupada explains that this verse is not an exaggeration. It is a compassionate realism. The Bhagavatam is explaining here the condition of our consciousness in an age devoid of God remembrance. If we can see, there are various symptoms are explained here, starting with short lives. Here the Bhagavatam says short lives. This does not merely mean people live for shorter lifespan. If we see from Satyuga, it is 1,728,000 years, and then it decreased by 432K, 1298 something, and then half of 1728, and the Kali Yuga is 428K years. But it doesn't mean that uh, Kali Yuga will have shorter time spans. And it also talks about shorter patience short memories and short-term thinking. People cannot think or sit peacefully. They cannot hear deeply, and they cannot sustain discipline. Even when, if we can see with the modern technology or the advanced medical practices, the expectancy can increase, but the quality of the life diminishes spiritually. And the second symptom mentioned in this verse is quarrelsome. Srila Prabhupada often emphasized that Kali Yuga is defined by argument without understanding. People fight over politics and various other things like religion, race, identity, even various opinions, yet they do not inquire about the self. And this quarrel is not strength; it is a frustration leaking outward. And the third thing, it's about the laziness. And when we talk about lazy in general, people are not lazy for sense gratification. People work very hard for money, pleasure, but lazy for self realization, lazy to chant, or lazy to hear scriptures, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, lazy to control the senses. And in fact, we can call this selective laziness. And this is one of the Kali's greatest victories in this yuga, in this age. And the fourth is misguided. This is perhaps the most dangerous symptom. Intelligence is used but pointed in the wrong direction. We're seeing the technology is getting advanced, but the wisdom is getting declined. People are educated but confused. And we see leaders exist everywhere, I mean, every country, everywhere, every place, but leadership is lacking that character. This is what Srila Prabhupada calls in this verse, in today's verse, what we are talking, a poor fund of knowledge, are endowed with a poor fund of knowledge. And this fund of knowledge is this poor fund of knowledge is not due to lack of information, but lack of the spiritual discrimination. And the fourth and the fifth one is unlucky. Even when opportunities arise, association of devotees, access to scriptures, the holy name, people neglect them. Prabhupada explains that this is the misfortune of our consciousness. And it is not our fate, but we are unable to properly utilize what we actually got through these scriptures. And finally, people are always disturbed. This is the summary symptom of Kali Yuga. If you see, anxiety has become a normal, irrespective of whatever age people are in, whatever stage of life they are in. Restlessness is accepted as life. Silence feels uncomfortable, and feels unfamiliar. And there is a constant disturbance, is the direct result of separation from Krishna consciousness. And if we carefully notice here, this particular verse, Canto 1, Chapter 1, verse number 10, describes the people of Kali Yuga. And the verse what we are talking today, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 15, 36, talks about why Kali Yuga becomes powerful. If we see, the connection is pretty clear between both the verses. When Krishna leaves the center of human life, these symptoms naturally arise, what we just discussed from Canto 1, Chapter 1, verse number 10. Kali does not create these qualities, but Kali reveals when the remembrance of Krishna disappears. Here, Kali convinces people that harmful activities like overindulgence, deceit, quarrel are pleasures. And there is another famous analogy from Srila Prabhupada, often quotes about camel chewing thorns. Camel, uh, while it is chewing the twigs of the tree, uh, while chewing the twigs, camel tastes its own blood, and while chewing the thorns, I mean, it thinks that it is very tasty. Similarly, people are fooled by temporary sense gratification because people have a poor fund of knowledge, and the poor fund of knowledge is because of the inauspiciousness of their poor knowledge. And if we can explore or describe those poor fund of knowledge into three categories, because poor is not just poor, they are philosophically poor because they don't understand body versus soul, the difference between body and soul. And they are theologically poor because they don't recognize Krishna as supreme. And the third is practically poor because some may understand uh, the spirituality aspect, know something about spirituality, but they don't apply it. And ultimately, what this verse is teaching us is without Krishna's presence, these individuals face suffering, quarrel, and misfortune. But we talked about the goal, Krishna. We talked about the obstacle, Kali. But there is a solution. There is a process. We are all safe even when the Kali fully manifests. The Bhagavatam teaches us that Kali Yuga is an opportunity, in fact, not a curse, for those who take shelter in Krishna. And if we see through scriptures and through acharyas, we can understand that there are two special mercies in Kali Yuga. One is obviously Srimad Bhagavatam, what we are reading from, and the holy name, hearing, chanting, reading. And these are not non-different from Krishna. And the main thing, we are in our parampara. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement. Main thing, congregational chanting spreads pure love of God, which is freely available. In fact, this can be compared with another analogy, which is like a discounted sale. Normally, in the previous yugas, spiritual advancement is is not that easy when compared to Kali Yuga. It is little expensive. I mean, you need to do some yagnas, or you need to go through various austerities. But Kali Yuga makes it easily and freely accessible uh, through chanting, hearing, and serving sincerely. And Srila Prabhupada often says that Kali Yuga is full of faults, but there is a unique and incredible advantage of Kali Yuga. In the previous ages, every sinful thought has carried some reactions. In Kali Yuga, uh, spiritual rewards are spiritual thoughts are rewarded. And there is another verse from Srimad Bhagavatam which talks about the solution. The famous verse is Canto 12, verse number 3, I mean chapter 3, verse number 51. Khaler dosha nide rajan asti he eko mahan guna kirtanadeva krishnasya mukta sangha param vrajet. Sukdev Goswami is explaining to Maharaj Parikshit, my dear king, although Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults, there is still one good quality about this age. Simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, one can become free from material bondage and be promoted to the transcendental kingdom. I would like to read the purport as well. After mentioning the innumerable faults of this age of Kali, Sukdev Goswami now mentions its one brilliant aspect. Just as one powerful king can kill innumerable thieves, one brilliant spiritual quality can destroy all the contamination of this age. It is impossible to overestimate the importance of chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Here it talks about Kirtana, just chanting the holy name. Srila Prabhupada says this chanting is direct association with Lord Sri Krishna. So we talked about Krishna leaving this planet and Kali's manifestation. But in order to get protected from Kali, two things are important here. The presence of Krishna through hearing, chanting, serving the deity, or through serving the deity and through serving the Vaishnavas, feel Krishna's presence and follow the regulative principles, that is purity, because we need to be careful with various material distractions we have in this modern age. And there is another analogy which Srila Prabhupada often quotes is house with strong doors. Even there might be a strong storm outside. Storm is raging outside. But if the house is strong, it stays safe. Similarly, our for us to not get influenced by Kali, to stay away from Kali is the sadhana, Shastra, and Sadhu Sangha. These are the three main aspects which protects from Kali. Kali can be strong, but staying in Krishna consciousness keeps us safe and progressive. By constantly hearing the instructions from Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, chanting with attention and love, and making the holy name our constant companion, association, spending time with devotees, doing seva, remembrance of Lord's pastime, visualizing and meditating on Krishna's pastime brings joy and peace. Because the only association we get for Krishna is through Shastra, through scriptures, through Guru. And we did discuss about three main aspects from today's verse. The first thing, if we need to conclude, or if we need to discuss one more time what we discussed from this verses, the first thing is Krishna, that Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 15, verse 36 teaches us that Krishna did not live like an ordinary human being. He left Swatanva in his own transcendental form. He did not disappear. He just withdrew his physical presence. And wherever Krishna is remembered, Kali cannot dominate. Where Krishna is forgotten, Kali naturally expands. And the Supreme Lord will never truly depart. Krishna remains present through his holy name, pastimes, his devotees, and through his service. And in this modern world, everything is a tragedy. But the real tragedy is that not that Krishna leaving this material world. The real tragedy is when we leave Krishna. Krishna is always there. Only thing is whether we have that consciousness to have that realization, okay, uh, and how to connect myself to the Supreme Lord, have him in our thoughts, actions, because we are in the age of quarrel and hypocrisy, and Kali has fully manifest and makes us to forget Krishna. And Kali does not affect everyone. Uh, it affects only whose consciousness is weak. And we also discussed in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 1, verse number 10, age of short life, quarrel, laziness, misguidance, misfortune, and constant disturbance. And Kali does not overpower everyone, as we discussed. Like Kali has some jurisdiction only when our consciousness is weak. If our consciousness is strong, if it is in Krishna consciousness, Kali will not be around that area. And Kali is a state of awareness. And yesterday, as part of our Saturday Srimad Bhagavatam, we were teaching, we were reading from Canto 1, Chapter 8, teachings of Queen Kunti, or prayers of Queen Kunti, where uh, Queen Kunti constantly prays for calamities in order to remember Krishna. And through that, we can understand that how Queen Kunti is wants to remember Queen constantly remember Krishna. There are various calamities occurred. Like yesterday, we were discussing, and as part of Saturday Srimad Bhagavatam study, There were various calamities throughout her life to the Pandavas, but every calamity Krishna protected. And the one great lesson through that pastime is remembrance, because more remembrance of Krishna is less influence of Kali. Okay, so obviously it's the other way. It's inversely proportional. If our remembrance is less, obviously there will be more influence of Kali and more bondage. And through this verse, we need to understand whether we are welcoming Krishna or welcoming Kali. Kali just not just like breaks the door and enters it, because people open it, because we open it because of our negligence. When we neglect chanting, Kali enters. When we neglect hearing, Kali enters. When we neglect service, Kali enters, because Kali is there right at the doorstep. As soon as we open it, Kali is ready to enter it. The same environment, I mean, can be turned into heaven or hell depending upon our consciousness. We discussed about Krishna, we discussed about Kali, and the third thing, the solution, the framework, the process. The goal is Krishna. The obstacle or the test is to overcome Kali's effects. And the third, the solution or the framework or the process is Kirtana. Through chanting, hearing, and associating with devotees, one can remain protected and one can attain liberation even in this difficult age. Kali can be strong, but Kirtan is much stronger. And Kali is often related with darkness, and Krishna's disappearance is like sunset, but we still have Krishna's name, pastimes that will act as a light. Kirtan acts as a light. Kali will be ready to disturb in various ways, but Kirtan, the process of remembering, chanting, and hearing the pastimes, purifies from all this disturbances. This is why Srila Prabhupada, through Krishna consciousness, ISKCON, he gave us the holy name as the foundation of our lives. Even in an ocean of faults, Krishna gives us a simple and powerful remedy. By chanting his holy name, we can rise above the material bondage and enter into the transcendental kingdom. So dear devotees, let us bring and pray to the Supreme Lord and Gurus that may Krishna bring his remembrance into our daily lives through hearing, chanting, and association, and let the light of his guidance will process us to fight the Kali Yuga, because Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults, but Krishna consciousness is the boat, and Kirtan is the wind that carries us across. If we can keep Krishna at the center, Kali cannot conquer us. And if we chant sincerely, Mukunda, the giver of the liberation, personally takes charge. Let us uh, get inspired from this verse, and uh, remember, hear, and chant Krishna's pastime daily and consciously, whether to go through Kali or go to Krishna. Kirtan will always be there to remember and make us connected to Krishna. That With that, I would like to conclude. If devotees have any questions, reflections, feel free to share on this verse.
Thank you, Prabhu, for a very organized uh, presentation of this verse and summarization of prior verses to give contextual understanding, and also for giving some guidance for alleviating the aspects of Kali in this current age in the life of a devotee. Devotees can go ahead and share questions, reflections, appreciations. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Very nice class on reminding us on that Kali is standing at our doorstep, and only by Kirtan and Shravan we can keep him away. They are more powerful than Kali. That's my main takeaway from the class. Thank you so much for the wonderful, inspiring reminder.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu. It's been really helpful. Thank you for reminding us how difficult it is to live in this age, but also the favorable part of this age being how relatively easy it is compared to other yugas. So get out of this chanting Bhagwan's names of Lord consciousness. The effect of Maya, right, is it more pronounced in the Kali Yuga or it's the same across different yugas? Um, my question is, like people in Kali Yuga, you see it seems like Maya is doing more damage in Kali Yuga compared to other yugas. Have you understand it, or it's just...
Mataji, your voice is little choppy. Can you please repeat if
Oh,
you don't mind?
1 second. Can you hear me now, please?
Yes, Mataji, better.
I was asking about the effect of Maya in Kali Yuga. Is
Mhm.
it more pronounced than what it was in other yugas? Or because it seems like Maya seems to make it very difficult in the age of Kali Yuga to do anything. Or is it just a characteristic of the yuga itself, as you said?
In
And
fact,
this, yeah.
I'm not sure at what point you joined, Mataji. So Kali was partially manifest after the Kurukshetra war. Even in the Dwapar Yuga, just after the Kurukshetra war, Kali was present. But only thing is, he was suppressed because of Krishna's presence. Is that your question?
Right, okay.
So,
No,
but
okay. Please go on.
so you're asking if I understood your question, is Kali present in the previous yugas?
No, I was asking about the effects of Maya in previous yugas. Has Maya always been, Maya is again a divine energy of the Lord. Has Maya always been powerful in other yugas also, or is Maya more powerful in Kali Yuga?
Maya's,
Yeah.
if I understood, Maya is present in all yugas, Mataji, because obviously, as you mentioned, it is Shakti or the energy of Krishna.
Okay, Prabhu.
But
Yeah.
yeah, but in the previous yugas, other devotees can help Paramakarna Prabhu or Jai Sachinandan Prabhu. But as it's if you see from Satya Yuga to Treta Yuga to Dwapar Yuga and going back um, from backward, Kali Yuga, Maya is dense and binding, and in Maya and Dwapar Yuga is strong, and I mean, obviously, it's a linear progress. I say from Satya Yuga to Kali Yuga, but the effect of Kali, I mean, the effect of Maya is more in the later yugas when compared to the previous yugas.
I see. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Probably there might be scriptural references. Someone can help me in answering that. Hare Krishna. Any other questions, reflections?
I just wanted to say thank you so much, Prabhuji, for nicely delivering the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam. I was just remembering one pastime of Srila Prabhupada where a disciple of Srila Prabhupada says, Srila Prabhupada, I feel like sometimes I fall into Maya, but Srila Prabhupada said to him that you are always in Maya. Sometimes you fall in Krishna. So I was just remembering this because it is kind of in the similar theme, Maya versus Krishna consciousness. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thanks for sharing. All right, anything to share? Thank you, devotees. Thanks for joining. And please excuse me if I've misstated anything. It is back because of my ignorance. If I made any mistakes, please excuse me. Hare Krishna. And thanks for you dedicating your time.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, very nice class, like the devotees mentioned, and nice important points to emphasize that you gave such attention to. Both Sri Singam Prabhu and Saraswati Mataji, thanking you for giving an instructive, wonderful class. So I don't see a mistake. You're simply repeating Shastra and Vaishnava authority through Srila Prabhupada. So, well, this is a record. We're done at 8:53. You covered a lot, and because of the organization behind it, it flowed very wonderfully. Vanchakalpatrubhyacha kripasindhabhyo-cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavabhyo namo namaha. Please join for the Sunday Feast program today. Take care. Thank you all for joining. It's very wonderful to see all of you in Bhagavatam. More people coming in, more devotees coming into Bhagavatam class. This is about as easy as it gets. You can stay in the comfort of your home and join in here and read Bhagavatam. What more do we want?
Sure.
So, thank you. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, thank you. I would like to add one point, I think, before we conclude. I think, thank you, very, very wonderful class, Prabhuji. I think definitely we are being in the material world, I think, distracting many things. The only way to keep away from Maya is, it's a good reminder in terms of now we having a Sravanam, Kirtanam, and have a concentration and focus so that now you'll be away from Maya. I think it's a very good reminder and eye opener for all of us. Yeah. Thank you so much for the nice class, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thanks for joining and summarizing. Thank you, Prabhu.
It's nice to have you, Sridhar Prabhu, at this class. Thank you for joining too. Okay. I think the Madhava Prabhu, should we end?
Sure, Prabhu. Yes. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Please.
Take care. Hare Krishna. See